Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's go, guys. This is going to be a great one.
It will be a great one. Let's just jump right into it, Jeff. Let's jump right into it. We got a few shout-outs
Yes,
to
sir.
start off the show. First off, right away, happy birthday to Richard Avery Plowden, champ. Happy birthday, champ. He's always everybody's got a nickname. Avery Plowden's name is just champ, and he's really just epitomizes what a champion is. So forever for me, he's always been champ.
Yeah, it's cool because I don't ever get to talk to Avery too much, but every time that I see him, he always makes when he says, "Jeff, it's really great that you're here and to see you." I really believe him. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's just selling me. He's a good salesman, but he's a genuine person. That's what I think. And
I think you're absolutely right on that. Yeah, he's genuine.
It's really cool.
Yep. He's got no reason to BS.
That's right.
He's a straight up. He's a pro's pro.
Yep.
And what I love about him is he doesn't make excuses. I watched.
True.
Here's one. I watched him at the Diamonds fight Tomas Imre, and when Tomas beat him, I believe it was for the division. I remember watching it, and if you didn't know what the score was, you would swear it was 0-0 because they just punched each other at the same time every time. It was just over and over again, punched each other at the same time every time. But I think the end result was 9-2 Tomas.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
And I remember saying at the time, I've never seen that many simultaneous punches only get scored one direction. But he didn't give any excuses. He never said that.
Yeah.
And he didn't even say it to me. I overheard him say this to someone else, that he said, I just got complacent with my training. He didn't even say anything about the match. He talked about what led up to that point. And now when I'm at tournaments, I soak in so much, and I take away from the subtleties of things so much. And I watch coaches. I watch what they say. I watch how people interact. I watch the other things, and just that type of interaction where he really could have, and it would have almost been justified to say, yeah, that was messed up. But he didn't, and he just said, right. I got complacent with my training months before that moment even happened. So
right.
Happy birthday, champ.
Happy birthday.
Another happy birthday to my wife.
Oh,
Lindsay.
Yeah, that's right.
Her birthday was last Thursday.
Yeah.
And so it was after our show. So I want to say happy birthday, Linz. And we had a wonderful time out when we don't get very many of them. So
that's right.
with the two kids, it makes it challenging. So happy birthday, baby.
Awesome.
Let's get into our first topic. A competitor by the name of Meadow Maze. Jeff, tell me a little bit.
All right. So Meadow Maze was a competitor I grew up with. She was a junior that did forms and fighting. She was from Florida, one of Calvin Thomas's schools. So she was from around the same area as Chris Walker. Amazing fighter, amazing forms competitor. So her and Bernadette Ambrosia were the same age, looked a lot alike, and were battling all the time. And she was an amazing fighter. So right now, the past year, she's been battling for her life with breast cancer, and she has been putting and documenting it on Instagram. And you know what, man? She is a warrior. It inspires me each and every day that I see it. I messaged her today just to let her know that we were going to mention her, and that she's just someone that inspires everyone. And so she really appreciated that, because she's just been fighting for her life, and also just for, to be an amazing mother to her kids while also going through all this. So she's a doctor as well. She's done all kinds of crazy things. So since sport karate. So her on Instagram, you guys need to follow her. It's Dr.mmgood, like Good. because it's Meadow Maze Good is her name. And just an amazing woman, an amazing lady that we just need to, pray for, think about, whatever you guys,
and really get
want to
behind
do.
her. This is a
Yes.
family. This community really is.
Right.
And there's so much competition within each other. But the moment anybody from our world and our circle does something prominent outside of the circle, we get behind them. Anytime somebody within our circle is struggling of that nature outside of this circle, we get behind them. And so for that, we really need to, really look at who we are as a people and understand where we are as martial artists. And this is not just a game.
No.
This is a martial art, and what she's going through supersedes all of that. And surpasses all of it.
And I think her martial arts has been able to push her through all of this as well. I used to always try to make it like, when I sell this thing as me as a businessman with my school, that it is another sport and it could be this and that. But honestly, man, it's not. It's a foundation, and I think that's what it is. It is not a sport. We have a sport aspect of it, but it's way more than that. People can do other team sports and other things with martial arts, but as long as martial arts is their foundation, man, that's you're on the right track, And I think she proves that. What's really cool about her Instagram when she does it, she explains that, like what she's going through, what her thought process is, what doubts, and man, she's doing great. I'm real proud of her for all that, just the way she's been fighting. So
that's really amazing.
Yep. So it's really cool.
And there's been other people in our community.
Yes, of course.
That have gone through things, either exactly like that nature or similar to that.
Yeah.
And then definitely not to take away from Meadow whatsoever. There's some of my close circle, a gentleman named Dominic Craigle, young adult. His mom passed from cancer a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And she started a foundation called Patty's Pals. And it started from her breast cancer, which then she beat that. And when it came back as bone cancer. And that eventually is what took her. But not before she set up Patty's Pals Foundation. So the Patty's Pals Foundation, if anybody ever looked through at the Diamond Nationals the last 6 years, notice that it's just like the pink belt tournament now. For some reason, it just happened that way. That's all because of Patty. Patty just had a vision like that. And so Patty and her husband, Scott, and her son, Dominic, and a board of trustees, they really had a vision for that. And they ended up sponsoring big events, NASCA events. They sponsored the team fighting event at AmeriKick. They sponsored the Diamond Nationals. They would sponsor open weight championships, and they did that. And because that's what Patty wanted to do. And so they were able to raise a lot of money. They have a luncheon every single March. So I'll give a plug once I find out more about it.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to take a trip to Chicago to be a part of it. They give away some amazing things that are like for silent auction.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it was some hot stuff. I was bidding on it. I didn't get it, but I was okay not getting it because I knew where the money went to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah. I mean, and that's why I'm glad that we kind of went that way, because it's important to shed light on those things. And I know there's so much more, and I would love for us to continue to highlight some of that stuff, because it's important. It's not just. There's so much that we have an opportunity to do through our sport and through what we enjoy to do, and to reach other people. And why not take the opportunity to do it? So,
speaking of so much more.
Yep.
And not great that that the show starts out on a somber note.
I know.
But Meadow's still battling it.
Yep.
However,
that's right.
Joshua Smith's student,
Yeah,
that we just got some news about is not the same news.
Right. So Joshua Smith, his brother, his 16-year-old brother,
that's right,
committed suicide. I think it was last weekend. And honestly, like, I was behind on all of this. I found out about it Sunday and seeing everything going on. And so what happened was that there was some social media bullying, and some guys, I guess, were trying to expose them for something and put some things out. And I don't really know if they did or didn't, but his brother decided that he didn't want to deal with that anymore and decided to commit suicide. And they did. So they have a a whole hashtag and shirt and everything that they're doing for it. It's become national news right now. He was on CNN, I think, yesterday or the day before. Billy Ray Cyrus was there for the memorial for his brother, and man, it's just gotten crazy. They're really trying to push more for putting charges on the students, on the people that were doing this, some type of charge. There is just a lot of backing from the school. I'm sorry, from the students. There's been a lot of issues with the school, with anyone that's wore a shirt that says like about what Josh is kind of pushing. They've told them remove it or move the signs.
Oh, the school's told them to get rid of it.
Yeah. So
why is that?
I'm not sure. I think they don't want all the controversy, all the different stuff. So I'm not, I don't know all the details.
You could miss me with that.
Yeah. So it's gotten, out there, but at the same time, so Josh is really a great dude, a nice guy. He puts a lot of motivational stuff out on Facebook and on his page, and has a big karate school and is part of the premier martial arts organization. He traveled for a while with tournaments and stuff. He is really just trying to take this negative and turn it into something that he can help change people. And so I commend him for that. But at the same time, I know he's suffering. He misses his brother. And so I hope that we can all just support him, and however we can reach out to him, that we can. And let's just think about how we can use, because I think it's kind of, if you look at it one way, we're in one of the worst times with social media, and we're in one of the best times with social media. There's so many things that we can do with social media. Yeah, it's perspective, and there's so many things that you can do in a positive way, and there's so many things that people do in a negative way. And why not use it for positive? That's the way I always think. So let's
use it this way. How about this way?
Right.
Use it, and Josh and I have spoken to each other. We've never really hung out before.
Right.
Really super friendly guy.
Oh yeah.
But I'll say this much. Losing your brother, outside of my wife, I don't think there'd be a more challenging loss in the world that I could go through.
Correct.
Than if I lost my brother.
No,
I totally agree. For that, Josh, you really have my prayers.
Yep.
But I'll say this: anybody who hears this or listens to this, just reach out to Josh, because I certainly would definitely be encouraged if somebody reached out to me if that was happening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that'll bring us to.
Let's get on going with everything else.
Let's get on to the smiley part of the show. Let's go to our competitors of the week. We'll jump right into that. My competitor of the week. I've had a lot of fighters lately. This one is not a fighter. This is David Douglas, my competitor of the week. So David Douglas, for those who have really just done martial arts in the last 20 years, you may not even know who he is. David Douglas was probably one of the coolest guys in the tournament.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you've probably seen David Douglas on a commercial here or there.
That's right.
Maybe just like a small spot in a movie here and there. That's just kind of the thing David Douglas was. David Douglas is from California. Was a part of the West Coast demo team.
Yes.
At one point,
Ernie Reyes.
Yep, Ernie Reyes. And
Yep.
At one point, he and Kim Doe were on the demo team at the same time.
Yep.
And so that just lets you know the level of martial arts that he had. David Douglas was always a part of a number of teams, and then eventually, before he stopped competing, he was a part of Team Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
Now, David Douglas, he really just did. He really did. He had a level of cool that was just kind of above like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll tell you this: I never won a championship in forms. Never, ever, never a national championship of forms. I won a couple of divisions before, but I'll tell you this: my greatest achievement is one time I beat David Douglas. One time, and I remember I couldn't even believe it. I didn't even win the division. Anthony Atkins won. Right? I remember thinking like, I can't even believe it just happened because it was unattainable for me at that time. Right? It's not possible. There was me, and I was pretty good, but I was so starstruck by David Douglas. David Douglas at the time. So if I just keep saying his name, people are saying, Alex, you're not explaining what he did. Okay, so he was a clean martial artist. He was very clean, but he just would do moves that were just cool. It was really before the mega combo time of tricking.
Well, because before it got big, yeah.
Right, before the combos got big, there would be a few of them, but it never really got big. So,
and
what David would do, he pushed the creativity of it. Yeah. That's what was so different. So, and then one of the best parts was there was a video game called Tekken, and there was a guy in the game called Eddie Goro. So Eddie Goro was a capoeira martial artist in this video game, right? Just this bad animation video game. It was a great fighting video game. So it was up there with like the Street Fighters and all sorts of video games where it was just one guy versus another guy, and you just pick them, and you basically would just sit with your buddies for like 6 hours and you play video games, and it didn't matter, right?
Especially when Tekken Tag came out. Oh man, sorry.
Yeah, and you would just go back and forth. So
anyway,
so this character Eddie Goro, he was a capoeira martial artist. So what he did is he did a double leg side flip, and he also did a double leg 540. So David did it in his form. He did them back to back. He did the big double leg, and then immediately he did the double leg 540.
Yeah, he would do that spin hook. And then
double leg 540.
Yeah.
It was nobody done that, right?
The first time that he did it and landed, I think, was Charlie Lee's that year.
It was like 98.
Yes, because the term before that, he tried to do it and he fell. And then right after that, John Valera did the first real big double leg. It was a real cool one. It was the night that John and Mike tied 3 times before. It was crazy. We'll get into that story later. But man, Double D, man, he was just awesome, man.
Double D, say it like that. Double D. That's exactly who he was.
He was awesome.
I watched one of his. This will just tell you this will give you a little bit of an idea of what his personality was like. So, like I mentioned in episodes past, all the black and blue videos, I tried to get all the really cool ones. So I got his along with Jeff Ikajiri's, and I got his, and his I think it was called freestyle kicking, but that's not what David Douglas called it on the video. He called it big ballin' and shot calling 98.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I popped in the video. I'm like, I don't think that's what this says. Freestyle kicking. He goes, I'm David Douglas. This is big ballin' shot calling 98. I'm like, all right, I guess it is. And it was great. And he just really opened your mind to different types of tricks. It didn't have to be the exact same way. So he just did things that people didn't do, right?
Right. But one of the things with David is that I guess because it was the time. Anytime you did something different like that, people just thought, oh, this is gymnastics, this is tricking or whatever. And really, he's one of the best kickers I've ever seen. And I think most of his stuff is kicking. He's very underrated with that. It's all kicking. It's all acro kicking. And acro
kicking is a great way to put it.
And so if you watch his stuff, one of the coolest things for me growing up was just he would warm up with the slap pad, the paddle. Him
Yes.
and whoever else, and I think sometimes him and Omar Guerrero for a while. They were training together. They would do jump hook kicks, like a standing jump, pop hook kick back and forth, and they both hold it. And man, it was just the coolest thing, and just watching them warm up was great. And on that video, you get to see a lot of that stuff. And
yeah, so you remember the video I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I watched it all the time. And I worked out, with him some when I could, and we would do that. And that's where
worked out with him.
Well, yeah, because we were always hanging out and stuff. And remember, I talked to you about karate helps kick diabetes, and so we got to. He was there, I think, either the last year or the year before, and we were just all that was just a fun time for us to perform without competing, and we all just worked out, talked about different things that we like to do and this and that, and I'm sure I'll get into the times where me, Jeff Figurjeri, Jimmy Pham, John Valera all trained together and stuff like that. Just things that, if you knew who all these people were, like that's a big deal for all of us to be working out together. It was cool. And just the lineages and stuff. So,
well, drop a little tidbit right now. What was it like training with Double D?
So he's just kind of like Avery, honestly. In a lot of ways, he's very genuine. The way he talks, it's just like he really wants to understand why you do this, why you do that. And man, he looks at things differently. So we really did, like when we would call it, like, I guess now they call it add-on. I call it add a kick, right? And so all of us would be doing that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
We used to do the same. We used to
do the same drills. It was so much fun.
Right. Yeah. And so all of us would be doing that. And that was kind of how, instead of just going and just tricking, it would be, because it wasn't really tricking, it was called training, but whatever.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, it's training. But we just all did that and try to come up with different things. And what was cool was that you really saw that add a kick type thing out of David. You know what I mean? Like when he did his form. So there was just random stuff. People were like, well, why did he do that? Because it's different. Because it's cool.
Right.
And I really like that. So I really like David. One of the other things is there's a video, I think, on YouTube, and I think it's Super Grand's 95, and he either was competing or he did a demo. And people don't know how good of a standing kicker David was, because when he got into NASCAR, he wasn't really doing that, right? Because you didn't have to.
Well, in NBL, you had to.
Yeah, but you only had to do 3 kicks.
You got to do a standing.
Right. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he didn't have to, because he was going against Mike Chat. Mike Chat was the standing leg kicker, and David had to do something different. Same thing with John. John had to do something different. Carmichael had to do something different. They all had their own thing, Probably the two that were the most similar were John and Carmichael, but their techniques and the way they threw stuff were very different. And they were the two closest as far as lineage of anyone.
Right.
So they both kind of were from that.
Because they're both from the same general area, too.
Right. Yeah, Virginia and Maryland and stuff. So, yeah, man. So, I mean, David, just awesome dude. I remember the first movie that I went to see just because I heard he was in it was, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. What was that one?
Never Been Kissed. Never Been Kissed.
Yeah.
So I went to see that movie, and they were like, "Why are you going to see this movie? It's like a chick flick." I'm like, "My buddy's in it. I'm going to see it." Blah, blah. And they're like, well, "What party?" He's like, "Oh, he's the Rastafarian that gets the girl high."
Because he had a look. He had a great look.
Oh man!
If everybody doesn't know, he had
dreads.
Cool dreads.
Yep.
He would do his form with a beanie.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool, man.
And remember during his flash kick when he would shift the beanie?
Yeah. And I think the thing when he started like the dance with the reggae music and stuff.
Yes.
Really
that was another thing. Yeah. Another thing. He did so different. He changed it. I don't want to hear techno music anymore. I'm tired of it. Right?
Yep.
I'm tired. We went through so many phases. But he just decided, no, we were going to listen to, what did he do? He did Cuddy Ranks.
Yeah.
But he did a few different ones.
Right. But that was because him and Butch Marks were so tight.
Butch did a different one.
Butch actually did it before. Like, he did the reggae, but he also did, like, he did Noriega and stuff like that. And,
that was dope.
Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff like that were really cool. And I think it's interesting if we go back and look at these people and who they hung out with, and actually maybe if you would watch the people they hung out with, they might have been more creative and better, but they didn't get the, you know what I mean? So they're just certain ones like that. So it's pretty cool. I look forward to digging deeper into all this. So.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So again, into lineage and everything. So my competitor of the week is a guy named Seneca Luther. And Seneca Luther is from my hometown of Lynchburg, Virginia. And Seneca Luther was a champion from like 86 to 89. It might have been even earlier than that. He had a mohawk. He wore leopard print uniform with cut off with fur on the sleeves or on the edges. He was the first person to do like his camo-form to Welcome to the Jungle. He like added the theatrics into it, right? And what's funny about Seneca Luther is that he retired when he was like 12. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. But when I was a kid, that was the first thing I saw was an article on him in the newspaper. And I found it
in the local newspaper.
Newspaper. No,
like a Sport Karate News.
No, like in the local newspaper, he had that, and I found it like 5 years ago. I think I posted it on Facebook or something. I said, "This is what got me to be a champion." And then I saw that he was on the Karate Helps Kick Diabetes show, the first one. He got a black belt from my instructor, so. He was also a Jimmy Horsley black belt, which Jimmy Horsley was from our area. He fought Don the Dragon Wilson in a full contact fight on like a week's notice. Jimmy Horsley is a beast. I mean, Jimmy Horsley beat Keith Fatelli. He's beaten several of these people from the late 70s and stuff. And so that's what I'm telling you. We're going to go down a lot of stuff. And so Jimmy Horsley actually was one of the people that got my instructor, Lawrence Arthur, into karate. So you have these two guys in Lynchburg that are building these schools. One that's Lawrence Arthur was the first person to do lead boxes and everything like that. He was the business guy of karate. Jimmy Horsey, real old school kind of thing. So two completely different ones.
Right.
So Seneca Luther was the first one, like as far as at that time from our area, that did it. And so he inspired me to be a champion. And so it's really cool because other than him, there wasn't really anyone until later on, like Sean Elliott and myself and a few others, David Scott. But Seneca was one of the first ones, as well as Jimmy Horsley. But Seneca was the first actual that won, a PKL and a NASCA national title at the time.
Right.
Back then, he was on, he was on the original Smash team. He was on the Jeff Smith's karate team. This guy was just amazing, man. And
now Seneca Luther won a number of things too.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. He that's what I was talking about. He had won so many titles. He won the PKL several times. He won NASCA. I think the first year in NASCA. I don't remember if he won. I think he didn't win the diamond. He was on stage almost every tournament. And so
I didn't know who Seneca Luther was when you said the name.
Yeah.
But when you started describing him, I'm like, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
because I saw
most
him.
People know him. Right. And what's funny is that he was a way better fighter, and a lot of people didn't really know that. And he won all the time in his division and stuff. And not really sure what happened. I think so his dad kind of was like, all right, yeah, we're going to retire him, and he's just going to go around all these tournaments and just teach private lessons and make tons of money and then not compete anymore. And nothing really happened from there.
12-year-old can't do that.
Yeah. So
You got to be relevant somehow.
Yeah, and I really wish he would have stuck with it. It was my goal a few years ago to get him back, and just never happened. It was hard to find him.
Really? Well, what's he up to?
I'm not sure right now.
You're gonna find him,
but I'm gonna find him one day. And I mean, he's in the
area.
And I know people that I know where his mom actually was she was like someone that worked at a nursing home.
We're gonna be tagging him now.
Where mine
somewhere.
Where my aunt was and stuff like that. So I mean, I knew them, and like I used to go and do demos where she worked at. So there's ways to find. Yeah, I mean, and I know some of his family members and stuff like that. But man, this dude was awesome, and so it kind of takes it into that because he was from the same school as me. And so that was one of the main reasons why I got there. And I remember going to my first tournament was a national tournament in Greensboro, North Carolina, put on by a guy named Hamilton Perkins. And in the finals,
just name dropping left and right.
Yeah. And so this was in '88, and I will not forget this. And it's almost like it's a dream or something because it doesn't seem real. But I remember seeing John Valera compete. I remember seeing Seneca Luther compete. And I remember this self-defense demo. And I just honestly, for the longest time, made myself, maybe I was so young, I was just making up that, I saw this stuff. But there was a self-defense demo, and it was Freddy Krueger attacking like these kids and stuff, and they defended it. And it was put on by this group called Shanachai Martial Arts, Penny Shannon. And they just recently, like 4 months ago, put a picture up of that. And I was like, thank God I'm not crazy. Like, because I was 4 years old.
Do you forget anything?
No, bro.
My goodness, you were 4 years old.
I was 4 years old. And it's changed me, man. Yeah, it's kept me involved in this. So,
you're making husbands all across the world like upset. You don't forget nothing.
That's what my girlfriend told me today. She was like, well, at least your memory's good. I
mean, I guess. You go, man.
But yeah, so, and honestly, if we could, I would love to get more video and be able to find it more on YouTube of Seneca, because you will see a lot of like him in me in my performances with the intensity and the showmanship part. So
the showmanship for sure.
Yeah.
This guy, and you know what though? Because I remember what it was like.
And kicking, he was a really good kicker too.
But really, from the showmanship part, there needs to be more of what he did and what we have. Dude had a mohawk.
Yeah.
Dude had a sleeveless uniform.
Yeah.
And I thought it was
at the time his comments had the strings on them as well, so it popped and everything.
And I think didn't he have like a leather, or what was his uniform?
Yeah, but see, he switched his uniform based on his form. So for open form he had a whole different uniform, and for musical he had a whole different one, and for weapons he had a whole different one. It was completely different. It was
they were all out there.
Right. Yeah. It's awesome. So.
Yeah. So
he did. That's what it was. His form was rollover Beethoven. That's what it was. I remember that.
I remember.
So, yeah.
There's been a couple people to do that.
Yeah, Carmichael did a version. Well, his was a different version.
Jimmy Pham did that too.
I don't remember Jimmy doing that. I know Jimmy Pham did Great Balls of Fire. Great Balls of Fire was Jimmy Pham. That was his first one that really got out there. And actually, Kim Do did the same thing. He did Great Balls of Fire as well before Jimmy. So.
And then he went on to be a pro. Speaking of pro athletes in sport karate.
Let's do it.
There's been an influence one way or the other, whether they're students who became and competitors who became pro athletes, or they were pro athletes who got martial arts training, or they were pro athletes who have had their kids get trained and have since seen what we do.
Right.
So there's been a number of them. You and I were just chatting about it earlier about someone who's close to me. I posted about him maybe like a month ago.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, Arya Daivari. Daivari De Niro. Get it, brother. WWE. He's a cruiserweight.
Yep.
But what we were talking about is Arya is kind of the heel. He's the bad guy, kind of wherever it is. But when he got into it, he was still training at the karate school. He kept telling me how cool it was going to be when he went to the WWE. And I'm like, Arya, come on, really? This is a real thing? It's like, oh yeah, my big brother Sean's going to get me in. My big brother Sean's going to get me in the WWE. He's going to get a contract.
Yeah,
at the
Sean
time,
was a
I'm like,
deal.
no way. Sean became a big deal. They ended up becoming a tag team deal, right? And
did Sean ever do martial arts or no?
Sean never did martial arts with us.
Okay.
Sean, from the moment when I met Sean was like 16 when I met Sean.
Okay.
And at that time, Sean knew he wanted to be in the WWE. He just wanted to do it for no other reason than he wanted to do it. Now, Minnesota, because that's where we were, has had a huge influence on wrestling.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a gym in Minnesota called The Gym.
Yeah.
That had every wrestler, when they went through, they trained at The Gym.
Yeah, right? The Road Warriors and all those guys.
Anybody in the 80s, if you wrestled, at one point you were in The Gym. I trained in The Gym before. Let's put it like this. When I trained in the gym, I stuck out. I did not belong in The Gym, right? And these guys, I wasn't deadlifting 600 pounds. Shit, I ain't deadlifting 600 pounds now, right? So there's no way. I came in with basketball shorts and a tank top and stuck the heck out. So I didn't last too long in the gym. But there's been a few of them. But even in wrestling.
Yeah.
Ernest. The cat.
Yep. So what's funny, people forget that Ernest actually played for the Falcons, right?
Okay, I forgot.
Yeah. And then he was on was a competitor. I think he did some kickboxing, like full contact for a while too. He was on JPM for a little bit. He was also, he went through all. And then in
I love Ernest.
97, he debuted on Nitro, on WCW Nitro on TNT. And it was crazy, man. But there's other ones that people don't know. Actually, Eric Bischoff was a martial arts champion or fighter in the 80s. He competed all over, and if you don't know, he was the guy who ran WCW for a long time. He now runs WWE SmackDown. Him and that's how Ernest kind of got in, because they were friends. Sonny Ono, who was a manager for a long time.
Sonny Ono was a Japanese forms competitor.
Japanese forms competitor in the 80s. And when I was growing up, there was this video that you could only get at the libraries, and I think it was called Karate Rock, right? It was from 1984, and it had all the Budweiser tournaments and stuff from then. And it was only 30 minutes, and maybe a little long. Yeah, 30 minutes. And it was some of the coolest stuff you'd ever seen. And it has him doing his form. It has John Fournette. It has Charlie Lee. It has Kim Dutrin. It has when Billy Blanks, cut Jerry Fontenez when they had that fight. It has Billy Blanks doing the aerial. It has Anthony Price knocking out, I think it was knocking out Billy Blanks. It also has Mafia Holloway doing the spin hook kick on Tony Young on both sides back to back. It was crazy, man. A lot of good stuff on that.
That's cool.
You have to look that up. I rented that thing about 40 times from the library. So that was sport karate is why I went to the library. So
that's awesome. But that's cool that it was there. Yeah. But there's been a lot of other, pro athlete influence. Well, what are some that you've had experiences with?
I know Ernest was a main one for me. Of course, as we move in now, it's more of the kickboxing realm or the MMA, with Sage and Raymond and Ross, MVP.
Congratulations, man.
So congrats, Ross. Just continuing to do great things.
Let's put it like this. Wait a second. I got one question, Jeff. Did you have a doubt that he was going to win?
No, no, no.
I had no doubt.
No, no doubt, no doubt.
I had no doubt.
No.
He knew he was going to win. He was going to win early. I knew it.
And honestly, that's what worries me. I'm gonna be honest, because the ones that I just be like, all right, this is the guy. He's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, it worries me because I'm like, all right, I'm so confident in it. So it's kind of like when MVP lost the last fight. It was kind of like that.
That's different. Ross is kickboxing. That's another animal though. When MVP lost.
No, I know it. That's true. That's true. And I mean, I think it's.
Well, what do you think about this?
Ross is trained different than Raymond, and Ross is very well rounded in his kickboxing, and he also uses the best of his sport karate, his points, and the best of his traditional kickboxing, which I think is going to benefit him more than anybody. So,
I think he's just going to continue to just get so much better, and the more he's cut weight, the better he's been.
Yeah, it's weird.
Ross used to give me so much crap. He used to give me so much crap about where I was. Like if I was cutting weight, if I was out of weight, he would give me all the time. He'd be like, Alex, you look a little fat. I'm like, where the heck is this coming from? You're always the heavyweight. I'm the lightweight.
Yeah.
Why are you giving me crap?
Yeah.
Now this dude, since he's cut, he's like a legit like middle like, area.
Yeah.
He is so much better. Much better.
Crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
And so, it's amazing.
I mean, he's a beast. He's got the mindset for it. He's got, he's grounded. Plus he's super smart too. Like he's a physical therapist. You know what I mean? Like, so he knows.
He's just, how about outside of being a physical therapist, he's just a really smart person. And there's some people that are just really smart people.
Right. But at the same time, what he studied in goes hand in hand with what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it works. I mean, I think it's just perfect, just the way it's all set up for him. And not stuff that he has set it up. You know what I mean?
Speaking of set up,
yeah.
What did you think about the MVP versus Raymond Daniels talk?
Hey, I don't like seeing our guys go against each other, but at the same time,
I think it's too soon.
Oh, me too. And I honestly don't think it's going to be as exciting.
It's too soon. Because right now, if it happens, I feel like it's just a setup to give MVP the win.
Right.
They just got there.
Right.
MVP's been the guy forever.
How old is MVP? How old is he? Do we know?
He's younger than Ray by a
I know that,
decent amount.
Ray's what, 40, right?
Ray is.
He either just turned or
Let's see, what year is it? No, he's 39. He's 39. Yeah,
so
because Ray's he's always 1 year older than me.
Right. So he's about to turn 40. So he doesn't have too much on. He needs to get one more big win, and then they set up, or two more. And so I mean it's.
An MVP is 32.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that
they're trying to do it right now. The only reason it would make sense to do it like immediately is if for some reason. Is if not just that, is if for some reason Bellator thinks Ray might not have a whole bunch of extra time left to be that good, maybe. But I mean, there's some people that defy logic, and Raymond Daniels is one of them. Like, you shouldn't be 39 and have had your Achilles ruptured and have had
twice, I think.
Yeah. And be that explosive and that athletic and that
exactly.
It shouldn't happen like that.
Correct.
All right. But, I was joking with somebody a while back because I watched Raymond's first Glory fight because it was in Chicago. Yeah. So I went in. Yeah. It was a knockout via spin hook kick to the head. Done.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just over. Right. And I'm like, this is awesome. Right. And I was talking to somebody afterwards, and they're like, of course it happened. And we were joking because we were like, this dude should be returning punts or playing two guard in the NBA. That's how athletic he is.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Here goes sport karate,
height and everything,
eating us up and spitting us out.
Right.
And sport karate will if you let it. If you just let it, you'll just stay in there forever and it'll eat you up and spit you out. All right. If you didn't want something different, some people love it so much that they're okay with that being their identity. And they're okay with that just being it. Like,
well, what's cool about him is that he could say he's the best ever in one sport, and he also could be arguably in other. You know what I mean? Like he's working his way up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know.
That's pretty cool. And still, when you think about that, you're like, oh, he's been in a long time, but he's only 39. I mean, when you really think, I mean, we could say it that way. I mean, he's only 39. You know, I'm just saying. How long did Randy Couture stay in? What?
How many fights did
48?
He have after? How many good fights did he have after 40 that you liked?
2. So yeah.
So you see what I'm saying?
No, I know.
And I believe Raymond Daniels is gonna.
Hendo had some good ones when he was older.
But were any of them as athletic as Raymond Daniels?
No. It's just a whole different style.
So that's the only reason I'm talking about, and I'm saying his name over and over again, is just because it defies that. Now, was all we were talking about. Hey, what do you feel about that? What do you think?
Oh, about that fight. So
let's say that fight happened.
I don't think it's going to be as exciting as to the outside audience as people think, because
let's say that fight happened and Jeff Dawson's got to put down $100.
Oh, who? All right. What's the style? Kickboxing, MMA. We're talking about MMA because, well.
Let's say we're talking MMA. Let's say we're talking MMA. You got to put down $100.
So, I'll still put it on. I'll still put it on Raymond.
I can't envision a scenario where you bet against Raymond. And that doesn't mean he's unbeatable.
No, I just say that
envision a smart choice to bet against him. I just cannot.
Well, because now, MVP has copied his style is from Raymond. You know what I mean? So that's why the footwork and everything that MVP does to confuse the other people he fights against in MMA is what Raymond does. So it's kind of hard. Now, does MVP have a better ground game? I'm pretty sure he does.
I'm pretty sure he does. It's pretty good. You can't deny that. I'll give him the edge on that. That's for sure.
Distance and timing, he has to make that happen to even get it there. You know what I mean? And I don't think.
Well, I don't know. Here's the thing. There's not, and I'm just saying. The only reason I'm saying Ray is just because there's just certain people you don't bet against. There's just certain people you just don't, and that's one of them. There's nothing I would look at.
I did watch his first MMA fight, and that was not pretty.
Yeah, well, even he owns up to that.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? That was over a decade ago. That was almost a decade. That
was old school Strike Force, man. God, that's crazy.
That was almost a decade and a half ago. All right, that's way beyond. That's gone. All right, so, I give him the pass on that. I'm not holding nothing against him with that.
I just think that it's going to be such a strategy type thing. Now, there may be a dance off in it, and there may be this or that, which would be fun. But as far as like a lot of action, I don't think you're going to get that because they're very similar. So, I mean, I'm just going to bust the bubble on a lot of that. I don't, Now, they could play this up, and I hope that they show all their fights against each other from Irish Open and stuff and all that. That would be great because all it's going to do is help it's going to help.
There's been a few.
Yeah, but they're all good. And then the ones that like when Joe Rogan put out the whole thing and showing that, you can find a lot of it where MMA and kickboxing websites have put out things explaining and even breaking down the point fights against them too, which is really cool. And I've watched that and seen that before. You have MMA guys that aren't into point karate that are breaking down the step by step of MVP and stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, Joe Rogan's awesome.
Did you watch that fight that they had at the Irish Open at the Gala?
Yeah, I watched both. The two that they did. Yeah, I watched those.
The one on stage. Did you watch the one on stage?
Yeah, I watched one on stage. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've watched a couple of different videos of it. One, Alex Reyes puts on a Point Fighter Live every now and then.
Yeah.
I watch the whole. Anytime it pops up, I watch the whole thing.
Yeah, same.
Because it's great. But see, there's something that happens that I'm not quite sure if you kind of saw what happened. But at one point, Ray punches Mike in the chest.
Yeah.
And Mike falls backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray stands over him and yells, "Sit down!"
Right. Oh man, so crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like, who are you to get upset?
Right.
punched you in the chest. You
Yeah.
fell backwards.
Yeah.
You can't really get up. But whatever. We're not going to monopolize this whole thing about Ray Daniels MVP talk. We're not going to do that. We were talking about pro athletes and sport karate. There's been a lot of them, a lot of kickboxers, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously that's the natural progression of where we would go. In fact, most of my instructors, it was just kind of the culture that you did point fighting for a while, and eventually you became a full contact kickboxer.
Right. And was that like more American style, like the PKA style?
Above the waist.
Yeah, above the waist stuff. Yeah.
All of them. So like for NK for years, always had winning record kickboxers. Always did. Right? Nobody had a losing record. Nobody. And Scott Masterton was my original instructor. He still has an undefeated record. Right? Super middleweight kickboxing champion. Like 23 wins. Like I think it was like either 16 or 18 knockouts. Yeah. Dude was thebomb.com. Right?
Yeah.
So that was my instructor. So when I would go to a karate tournament, I watched the karate tournament, but then we'd also have a kickboxing event. Every month there was an event. There was like a kickboxing event. There was a tournament. There was something. And so we always had to host a card. And so he was usually on the card. And so I would go there and I got a chance to see him. So, and I would kind of watch like in the back, like in the training when he would get ready to like hitting pads and train a little bit before he would go out there and fight.
Yeah.
I like crawl up close, try and get down low so I can go up there and see him fight. Yeah, man, he was the bomb. And he ended up his career ended because his knee dislocated in the middle of the match. But he was winning every round up until that. So they TKO'd it to give the other guy a win, and then eventually said, this seems silly. Why should this guy win? He didn't even hit you. It wasn't illegal, but there was like no reason why he should win. So they came back and gave him the win. And his response was, sure doesn't feel like a win.
No, yeah.
That was my influence. That's what it was like.
It
was just the natural thing to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of kickboxing growing up in the area and stuff, and kind of like what I was saying about Jimmy Horsley. He did it. We had another guy, Ken Anderson, and then there was also Kent Anderson, and both of them from the same area that did stuff.
They never got confused for each other.
Right. No, not at all. Let's see, kickboxing wise. Oh, all right. So you have Jeff Newton, who was from California. I think he's a Bob White black belt, Kimpo black belt in California. He was on DKT Force One. He ended up being a kickboxing champion and fought in MMA several times. He was in the UFC several times. Also, Brian Schwartz. Brian Schwartz was on Team Kanai, and he had the longest streak for NBL continuous fighting. He was undefeated for 7 years for a continuous until Trevor beat him 1 year. And this dude was an amazing continuous fighter, and he became a full contact. Like he fought like Strike Force when it was kickboxing. And I think he was undefeated in that as well. And there's some videos out and stuff of him. Amazing fighter. And he went to WK with me for like one of his last years of competing when we went to Vienna, Austria in 2001. And that was a fun time. And that was one of the only times I've ever seen him lose was in that. And it was just really weird doing continuous fighting in a ring and stuff, and how some of the divisions...
It has a completely different dynamic.
Well, the problem...
You can't do
the problem I had with it was that some of the continuous divisions were in a ring and some weren't. It wasn't all right, this is kickboxing, totally this is that. No, like, all right, we're going to do these continuous in a ring, and then the other round of this are not. I didn't like that at all, and that was one of the only issues I had with the WK stuff when I was there in 2001. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, lots of kickboxers. I'm trying to think. There's somebody I feel like, and I can't put the name of that. I feel like you and I know that has talked about being like a professional like paintball champion. Who is that?
What?
Yeah, there's someone that I know that is because he had talked to us about getting sponsored for this or that. It was like, hey, I get sponsored for this, and paintball. And I cannot remember the name of who it was.
That is the most obscure thing I've ever heard.
Right. But
but there's been a number of things. So there's what is that? I've taught some pro athletes karate, especially to their kids. I did some training. So I love the NBA. I love the NBA. I'm wearing my T-Wolves gear right now. Go Wolves, baby. And they're my favorite team. You know, LeBron James is my favorite player, but it's all about the Wolves, baby. So, back in the Kevin Garnett years,
right?
I was teaching at a karate school a mile from one of his houses. Okay, so he's just right. It's in a really, really wealthy community, but not $126 million contract rich.
Right.
Maybe like a few $100,000, rich. Like, what is this? Okay. So everybody knew where he lived. Everybody knew which house was his. You see a neon green Porsche Boxster. You see the Range Rover. You see the Bentleys. Gee, I wonder whose house that is.
Right.
Yada, yada. Anyway, I'm in the karate school, and this woman comes in, and she's like, yeah, I'd like to get my daughter, my son signed up for karate. Sign him up. They can get do everything. We're there for about him. And I'm like, and her name was Yolanda. Yolanda, I've never really seen your husband. Like, does your husband ever come around? She's like, yeah, he's just really busy. I said, what does he do? She said, he's a basketball player. So now I didn't want to ask because I'm like, she was really nonchalant about it. So I'm trying to like piece it together. Like, I just moved. I figured out that was Joe Smith's wife. Joe Smith Joe Smith played in Maryland. So you might even know. Joe Smith played in Maryland.
Yeah,
I think was number one pick in '95. Right?
Yes. Yep.
So the Timberwolves had paid a huge penalty because we tried to sign Joe Smith and we were up against the cap. So we paid him like $5 million under the table and lost like 7 first-round picks or something like that.
Wow.
And weren't able to sign him. It was a big yada yada.
Crazy.
We ended up signing him years later. And so she says, hey, if you ever want to go to a game, you can go to a game. Here's my tickets. So we do that. We start bumping elbows with family members of the players, which I thought was cool. So tell them because obviously like one of these things is not like the other. Why am I sitting there? So I'm talking to them and they said, yeah, what do you do? So I told them what I do. They said, did you ever do any karate tournaments? Yeah, I do some karate tournaments.
Yeah.
So this is the best part ever. So Joe Smith had a practice on a Sunday and the tournament was on a Sunday. Now I had just won prior to him getting there, the fighting grand and the form grand of this tournament. So this dude sticks out. He's 6'10", right? So obviously he sticks out. So I'm walking around and I see this doorway start moving, basically. So I see him and I run over to him because I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to go see his daughter. I'm like, Joe, you're in the wrong spot. We got to go. So we run down and like the security stops us because they're like, whoa, you don't have your wristband. And they stopped him, not me. And I go, no. Don't worry about it. He's with me. And they're like, oh, okay then. And I stopped and I'm like, wait a minute. I can't believe that scenario just happened. I ushered in Joe Smith, like, oh, it's okay. This guy's with me. Right? And funny, he was like, oh, thanks for getting me in. And he asked like, who was the champ? And I said, oh yeah, that was me. And that was a cool scenario. But yeah, I ended up doing that for a few people. My favorite Viking ever was a guy named Antoine Winfield. He was a cornerback, and had the only jersey I had was Antoine Winfield and John Randall. And I ended up years later taught his kids karate.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, and he still lives in Minnesota too.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm in a small town, so I don't get that very often. But we have a guy. We have Charles Haley that grew up the town next to us, so he's a big deal, and his family, everyone, so that's pretty cool. But other than that,
now here was another one. Speaking of sport karate and pro athletes, because I found out about this, but didn't really know about this at the time. Flex Wheeler, pro
Yeah.
bodybuilder.
Right.
Dude's
Sport karate guy.
Dude's a sport karate guy. And I saw
crazy.
this. I think I was looking at something and I saw like, I see this dude in like just rec suit pants kicking, and I'm like, what in the world? Who is this monster? You know? And if you had, imagine if you had to fight him, because technically, like, if you're in the heavyweight division, if you're 201 pounds, you're fighting Flex Wheeler. That is an intimidating scenario.
Correct. Right. Yeah. I mean,
that would be awesome to see.
That would be. Have you ever seen some of the videos of like Rick Rufus doing point fighting? Have you seen that on YouTube?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's funny to see like those guys that you know for that doing point karate. You know, doing you know, it's funny. It's cool to see. Even like you know, I know he did karate first, but like Timek, you know, watching him do once. Do you know who that is? He was Timek, the guy that played Bruce Leroy in The Last Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So watch some videos of him. It's just interesting watching these guys do different stuff, you know. So pretty cool, man. And I'm sure there's more that we don't even know, you know. I'm sure that
some people will have to comment and tell us more stories, because we'll go on forever. But
another one is you know, what's the guy? The Pettis brothers, Sergio and Anthony Pettis. They were ATA world champions in
for real
fighting. Yeah, and then, you know, gone on to because Rufus, Duke Rufus has a lot of sport karate guys that are under him. So, yep. So yeah, man.
Get it?
Yep. So pretty cool.
Yeah. Now we'll transition. We'll go right into should it stay or should it go?
Here we go.
Let's go. Should it stay or should it go? Nighttime finals.
This is a tough one, man. I think I suggested this one, didn't I? So there's some goods and bads with all this, man. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I think that we could run all the way through, and I like going to some of the local tournaments where the grands is at the end, or you have some of the grands at the beginning, and then you do it later on. And then guess what? At 6 o'clock, we're going home and we're hanging out, or we're all going out to eat together, and we can leave the next morning, while still making the grands an important thing because everyone is staying around to watch it. I like that, but I also like it's something cool about being on stage in the finals, man. It's a really cool thing. I think there's certain finals that need to be shorter. I feel like for me, 2 hours to 2.5 is the limit and is what it should be. Finally, I got it there on my last tournament. I had been working so hard to do that within the limitations and the strict rules of how your finals should be in NBL. And I was, well, I kind of pulled my weight and switched it a little bit, and it worked out really well. And we were done in 2 hours and 10 minutes, I think, which was great. And we had some great fights. We had, you know, I mean, it was entertaining without being overly done, and it was exactly equal on how many forms and fights there were. Which,
well, that's
there you go.
Good. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
So I mean, I think there's some that do a good job on that.
Here's my thought on that.
I like the Irish Open way, but go ahead.
Well, I like it, but here's the thing, though. If you've never been there, you know how you go to a tournament someday, you go to a NASCAR tournament, and you're like, oh, man, it's another form. You say that sometimes about some of the fights.
Some of the fights, yeah.
You will. You'll be like, it'll be 2 people you don't know, and you've just watched 4 fights of 2 people you don't know possibly.
Yeah.
And there's another one that you have no way whatsoever in.
True.
You start to find out, oh, there's a crowd's got conversations going on amongst themselves, and not that many people are paying attention. Just the same way people do about forms. So it's all about the intrigue. What I will say is, not every tournament needs to do it the same way.
No, I agree.
Not every tournament needs to have everything climax to the end and have a grand championship. It is okay to break it up. It is okay to do the local tournament, the small town tournament, uh, vibe where you do the Forms Grand earlier, Fighting Grand later. If you want to do it like that, and that's okay. Yeah. It's okay to do that. There's a tournament. I'm sure there's other tournaments that do it this way, but there's a tournament that's held by USA Karate in Minnesota called the Minnesota State Championships. Okay, Minnesota State Karate Championships. Good tournament, right? And they do all the black belt competition first thing.
Yeah.
First thing. School. Everything, all black belt competition is done. Starts at 8 a.m. All black belt competition is done. Everything, grands and all. Yeah, probably by 11:30. Noon. Okay. You gotta be honest, probably noon. Okay. Right? And that's it. You did it. Yeah. Here's the good thing about it. All right. If you wait till the end to do everything,
no one's there to watch.
There's nothing. It's like, all right. The thought process is, we'll all stick around. We'll do our stuff, and then we'll stick around and watch everything. Nobody wants to stick around.
Nope.
Nobody wants to. All right. Yeah. And if at high school graduations, if they didn't make you sit down the entire time, if your son or daughter, if once they got their name called, they could just leave.
Yeah,
there'd be two people that sitting there for Zimmerman. That'd be it. If you went in alphabetical order, there'd be two people sitting there. That'd be it.
Right.
Nobody would care, right? Because if you make them sit there, they sit there. But they're not happy about it. So if they're voluntarily sitting there at the end till 5 o'clock, nobody's really there.
Right.
So it's okay to break it up.
Yeah. So I always liked, and this is something that I always implemented in my tournament, was having something that kicked off the day, right? And like a big deal. Almost like like a pre-finals, but the first thing in the morning that got people pumped up. So in 2011, I did North versus South. So I did, to start the whole tournament, I did the Southeast 5-man team, or maybe it's 4-man team, versus the Northeast 4-man team, right? And it was pretty awesome. And that got everybody pumped up to be like, man, I can't wait to watch these guys later when they fight in their division. And people waited and watched and stuff like that, you know?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Also did that with, like even like Team Demo or whatever, like opened the whole Saturday morning when it was a national with something like that. Or I would do the Ironman in the morning and get people pumped up. And then, all right, I'm going to watch these last two go edit in the finals tonight. There were ways like that, you know, to kind of do that. That was a real cool fight, the first North versus South thing that we did. Let's see, Southeast was supposed to be Cat Sigmund, but he had mono, so he wasn't able to do it. So he was the coach. We had a junior Kevin Walker. We had Joe Fife. We had Chris Walker. And we had Jimmy Sherman. And then the other one, this was like my second tournament ever, right? And the other one was Gerald Dawson, Jarrell going against Kevin as a junior. I'm sorry, not Jarrell. Sorry, Cam. Cam Dawson going against Kevin as a junior.
Yeah, Jarrell's older.
Yeah. Kirk Jenkins, which is Ron Jenkins' son, who was the coach of DKT Force One, and Mike Tull. So it was a real different, you know, kind of a fun, you know, Northern Virginia, Maryland, New York kind of thing versus the Southeast, and it went into overtime, which was a great way for me to kick that off, and went to it was a tie at the end of it, and then Southeast won. So it was a cool thing, and it was a way for me to push it the next year when I did Joe Fife versus Kirk Jenkins on stage, because both of their fights.
So actually, you pulled a lot from the local influence.
Right. Okay. And so people were just excited about it and pushed it forward.
But the only thing about that is that means everybody's got to be there for the entire tournament, right?
Right. Isn't that the point?
No.
Yeah, it is. We talked about this last week. People were there to enjoy a karate tournament, right? Didn't you say that? Yeah,
I did say that.
Yeah, you did say that. So does it have to be all night? No. That's why I think a finals, we should probably start earlier. You know, it's hard to do when you try to go so. I've been there, guys, trying to go so much in there on the lighting and the sound. It's a lot, man.
It's hard. Not every.
It's hard.
So, and that's the thing is people look at some of the other tournaments that have happened. They look at Quebec.
Yeah.
They look at the Diamonds. They'll look at other tournaments like that, and they'll say, "They did that. Like I'm going to do that."
Yeah.
You don't
it's
have.
Not always
it doesn't
the best
have
way.
to. Oh, it doesn't always have to be like that. One of the things I liked about Bluegrass, the lights were on.
Right. Yeah, it was cool. I liked it.
Thinking like, is this strange?
1 year,
but I
2
liked
years,
it.
Yeah.
The lights were on.
2 times ever they had the lights out. I remember it was 98. It was 98 and 94. Yeah.
And I liked that the lights were on.
Yeah, it was cool. You could see it. And that was one of the things, too, like we talked about before, the finals where the stage was in the middle. You could see the audience and everything. That was real cool.
Yep.
It was something different. That was the reason why I took the stage out. Everyone said, you have to have a stage. And, I mean, I remember boys telling me, no, what do you think about it? I'm like, well, I'm saving money by not having a stage.
Well, you could still have a stage.
Two.
And then have everything around it.
Yeah, that's what I had. Stadium seating to make it cool. And actually, it made the lighting better. And it made it just something different. You also could sell more tables, finals tables, because guess what?
Not you only can fit more.
But no, that's the best seat out. You were right next to the ring. Like if you get a table, like a VIP table, you're literally like breathing on the competition. You know, like if if you get a VIP round table and you're still just looking up at the stage like everybody else is, you're just closer. You know what I mean? But so there's a lot of cool ways to do that. Richard Osborne did my idea the past 2 years as well. He really liked it the way it was. And I think you'll see more of stuff like that. For me growing up, there were some tournaments that did that. The one I was talking about, Rick and Nikki Lee's tournament in Spartanburg, they did that. It was real cool. It was just there. Rhode Island did it 1 year, or 2 or 3 years. Ocean State did that, where they were at the college, I think, and they had the bleachers, and then they had the finals in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Well, I got one that's going to be a little different. So I'm not basically with yours. I think the conclusion we came to, should it stay, should it go?
Shorter finals
is maybe.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
So this one.
All right.
People go one way or the other. I don't know which way people are going to think. This is a legit question. Should it stay? Should it go? Underbelt Grands.
So
underbelt
Grand championships, or this thing that some of the people are doing where there's an underbelt finals.
How about D, all of the above?
Okay, so I don't like the underbelt finals. I think it's okay to have certain underbelt grand championships during the daytime. The way I like to do it is to do the underbelt forms grand in their ring before they fight. That way it's done and it's out there. It's a cool little highlight. If you want to make it to where they feel like they got something special, you can. I've done several different things. I did it where all the winners did a short section of their form as like a demo during the thing, and that was, there was a 5-minute feature. But I also did it where the person that was handing out the award for the grands was the underbelt grand winner, right? So they got a little taste of what it was like to be on stage and blah, blah. But I don't think you oversaturate to where they were like, oh, yeah, I'm the champion, and I know what it's like to be this or that, because I think that's one of the problems is that they win so many of those, and then they quit before.
Matter, though.
They're
going to quit
before
anyway.
they're.
You put them on stage, they're going to. Okay, never mind. I can tell you exactly where I feel. Like, no, all of it should go. It's all done. Get rid of it. It's the moment you start doing that.
Yeah.
It's over. It's over. You've already given them everything. All right. If you want to highlight them and give them something more, they're a freaking purple belt.
Right.
You want something more? How about get a red belt? Maybe a brown belt. I don't know. Here's this crazy thought that maybe you could just train hard enough to become a black belt. But no, the thought process is train hard enough so that my form can be better. Well, freaking duh.
Yeah.
But that's been now, it changes, right? So
here's the
once
problem.
you
This
start
is the reason
exposing
why.
them to competition, all right, obviously competition's awesome. It's great. I love it. I think it's great for everybody to do it. All right. Even though some people are going to get waxed. That was not the end goal. All right. I'll tell everybody, like, go compete. If I think they might get waxed, that's not the opportunity. I have no idea what's going to happen. I might get waxed. I have no clue what's going to happen. You have no idea. So you go out there and you just perform and you compete, because that's what we're here to do. We train in martial arts to compete in martial arts, to do the martial art.
Right.
You
so
train
some
in
of those
basketball
kids
to compete in basketball.
They have
it's the
no
same
one to compete
thing.
against. Some of those kids, they don't have anyone to compete against until the grands. They don't have anyone to compete against until the grands, because there are so many divisions.
Once they become an advanced belt.
All right, so
what are we talking about?
What's gonna make you keep doing it until you actually have someone compete? I've seen some of these tournaments where there is, like, literally this person signed for all divisions. They won all their divisions, and they had one person in all of it, because there are people that have 6 to 7 year old advanced belts.
Well, you just answered your own problem.
Exactly.
Right, too many divisions.
So guess what? Then the only way for them to actually get some type of, like, grand champion, or competition is by doing a grand champion. Time out. Not giving them a grand, it's actually put them in a grand champion competition.
Why? Against what?
Against the other competitors, like all the advanced belts,
and who
all
should
the 12
win every
and
single time? Who should win every single time? The advanced brown belt.
Why?
Because they're the most advanced. They're the most skilled. But you know why they don't?
No, you're talking about school and sport karate, two completely different things.
But here's why they don't.
No, you cannot tell me that advanced brown belt in your school is the same as Joe Schmo and somebody else.
Correct.
You cannot say
that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So look at this, and you know this is true, that there'll be people who don't push their children to advance in rank because they would rather compete at a lower rank to win.
Yes.
Look at that mindset. They would rather compete at an intermediate belt level because they have a better chance at winning first place as a blue belt than actually competing with the red belts. So right then and there, they actually don't want to compete to be better. They just want to be awarded this trophy because they have a better chance to win as a blue belt. Their really skill level is not a blue belt, but they don't even want to go to the test. They don't even want to test so they can do it because they don't want to actually be a red belt or a brown belt. They want to be a blue belt. You know
what you're saying, yes, but what you're saying is that, honestly, the whole thing of, like, people thinking they're better than they are, without underbelt grand champions, they're going to make it. It's going to get even worse because guess what? They never lost. I never lost my division. My 8 to 9 year old advanced, I've never lost. I'm awesome. And then guess what?
The first time they lose, we're not putting them up on a pedestal.
But there's no pedestal. They're going to get their butt whooped against whoever else in the grand, and they actually earn their way up to try to win a grand champion. You know,
so what's the incentive? What's the incentive for that person to ever earn black belt?
To actually earn money, to actually have some type of to get on stage. No.
Money.
To get on stage. That's why you can't be given these
on stage.
No, who's this we? Like I wouldn't freaking do that.
Okay,
this is all I'm saying.
Is it not happening often?
Yes, and that's the problem. So there has to be tiers of this stuff, okay? You can't give any underbelts money. I'm sorry, I don't think you should be doing it. Give whatever. It happens all the time. Then,
is it really? Is it really?
Oh yeah, all the time. And there's some tournaments. There's some tournaments that had, let's see, 40 underbelt grand champions.
Why?
I don't know.
How is that even possible?
That's what I wondered. So, anyways, so there's that. Then, so you have to have a tiered. You can't do that. When you get to, I don't think you should give juniors money, personally, because it screws up their NCAA and all that stuff. You know, if they want to do another sport.
We're going to talk about that real quick. But keep going.
But you can't do that. So there needs to be certain things to do that. It actually
doesn't mess with that, but go ahead.
Well, it used to. I mean, not anymore. But I know Ali Viola. Ali Viola played NCAA soccer. she had to give back all of her money every time, and she had to like vocally like say, "I do not accept this money," in case people were filming or whatever. Like,
and let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
All right, we opened up this box. We're jumping right in it. All right, because of the NCAA college athletics, right? This is what we did right now, right? We're talking about this. All right.
Go ahead.
This is the biggest. I talked about scams.
Oh
before.
yeah. It is a scam.
This is the biggest scam on planet Earth. Is the NCAA.
Yes,
all right, they're worse. They're worse than the Olympics. Go ahead. Right. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay, so let's take Ali Viola for a moment. All right, good martial artist. She won prize money. She can't accept it because what? Because she's on it. And that doesn't even matter whether it's scholarship or not. But she was playing collegiate athletics, right? And she can't. Why? Exactly. Now, let me tell you this. If I was going to school, all right, I was going to a university for creative design in some way, but I was an artist, and I can be signed. I can sign a contract from Disney to do some animation. I know this to be true, and I can actually have a contract with Disney, right, as a cartoonist, as an animator, and still be going to college. Why could I do that, but Ali Viola can't?
Right.
Does that make any sense?
No, it makes no sense. Yeah.
Here's another one. All right. Why is it that if you say, "Hey, will you sign this thing for me because I want your signature?"
Yeah.
And I say, "Sure, $5." I can't do that. That doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. It's all about control. It's all power, right?
Yep.
And so here we're gonna get right into this because some people are gonna say, "Oh, well, they're getting an education." BS. No, they're not. Freaking S. Because here's what happens, right? So you're gonna tell me this. And the biggest culprits of it are football. So let's say, all right, there's a cornerback who plays for Maryland. Okay, let's just say this cornerback plays for Maryland, and they say, well, he's getting a college education. No, he's not. No, he's not. All right, he cannot take whatever classes he wants. Can he take liberal arts classes? Can he take biochem classes? No, he can't. You know why? Because they'll have certain lab days. Well, maybe those are on weekends that they have to get with their partners. Can he do that? No, he can't.
No, he can't.
Because he has obligations to his team. Yep. And now that supersedes whatever class he would take. No, he literally is he's an employee of the university for free. He can't. All right? I don't want to use the S word, all right? But he is being captured. We'll use that one because that other word it has some loaded stuff to it. But he is not his own person. He can't do anything he wants. He can't. He's stuck. Right? He basically and my brother was when he was in the Marine Corps. Okay, when he was a squad leader, one of the guys who was in a squad was a safety for the Steelers. My brother was like, "Oh man, that's so cool! You were on the Steelers, man. Tell me what it was like." And he was like, "It freaking sucked." He's like, "What are you talking about, man? You were a pro athlete." And he goes, "No, man, it sucked." It's like it's just like the Marine Corps, where you think you just get to do whatever you want. No, you don't. They own you. They own you, and that's pro. That's after you're paid. Wow. He goes, "They own you. You think you get to do whatever you want on Monday? No, you don't. You think you get to go everywhere? No, you don't. They have mandatory." Community appearances. You think people just show up to do Feed My Starving Children? You think people just show up to do Meals on Wheels? You think they just really want to do that? No, they don't. That's in their contract. They don't have an opportunity. They don't have an option. It's just what they have to do. Their every day is already told for them what they're doing. They don't get to live their own life. That's messed up. And that's when they're paid. Now the collegiate athlete has to do all of that. And they don't. Not only do they not get paid, they can't go get a job. They have no way to support themselves financially. So the one way someone is able to go support themselves, they find a way. Like, okay, that's fine. I agree with this. You're not going to pay me. I'm going to play for free, risk my health for you. Okay, thumbs up, university. You're going to give me an education? No, you're not. But I'll do it anyway. Even though you're not going to pay me, I'll find a way where I'll make ends meet. But I can't because you won't let me. It's messed up. So don't even get down this big freaking scam.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that. So don't even totally agree with you. I wasn't saying anything about that, but there you go.
That's
awesome,
right.
Awesome, Alex. All right.
Yeah, I dare somebody disagree with me on that one. You can miss me.
No, I totally agree on that. It's crazy. All right. So we kind of. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. I mean that one is kind of like. Yeah, I just think that they go too far with the underbelt grands, and
that's where we derive
and that's
from.
Kind of and so I mean we just everybody goes too far, and
so
it should be set up.
You think we should have the grands? It should just not be in the finals.
Oh, it shouldn't even be close to the finals. But I also think that I think that people. So here's the problem, because
I thought there's possibility you might think it's okay to have. Okay, go ahead.
No.
Oh, you don't want
I
it
hate
at all.
that. No, and honestly, in some ways, I don't even like the juniors being in the grand sometimes. But
you mean in the finals?
Yeah, I think it just needs to be limited. I just think there needs to be ways for it to build it up.
Well, yeah.
But again, that's kind of like all of my stuff that I've been saying is a 10-year type plan. You know what I mean? Like, because everything has to change. There needs to be.
Well, yeah, but it can be torn down in one.
Honestly, it should be separate events. Really, underbelt and juniors should be separate events.
I don't think so.
To do that,
I think we had it pretty. We had it pretty close to what it should have been years ago, and then we went and muddied the waters.
Right.
We had it. I think
so far. Yeah.
Right. I think the closest it was. I mean, it sounds biased because of the eras you and I competed in the most, but probably the early to mid 2000s, early 2000s.
No.
And here's why I say that.
No, I say early 90s was better, but whatever.
And there's possibility for that, because here's what we saw. We saw a boys' forms grand, all right, a girls' forms grand, a boys' weapons, a girls' weapons. That's it for kids. You're done. All right? Most, what you would do.
Some junior fighting, but yeah.
That's what you could do. Now, if you want to do that, I'm okay with that. You take, because you had like the shorter and the taller, right?
Yeah. Bluegrass and Atlanta were the only.
Bluegrass and Atlanta did that all the time.
We're the only ones that did
it. Yeah. That was fun. So yeah, you do that. So then you got to decide. All right, what are you doing? Are you going to cut some of these out? But now there's so many different ones, right? And well, it's not fair if you have the traditionals against the CMX. Well,
no.
Who the hell cares?
Yeah,
I don't really care what you think is fair. You know what's not fair? How you judge them. How about that?
Yeah, that's the issue.
So now, but then you look at that. So then you do all of that. And then for women's form, you bring 2 people.
Yeah.
Gee, why do you think they feel slighted? Because they literally are.
Yeah.
That's why.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, how are we going to end this today? So I got a story to finish, because we talked about that.
I guess that's how.
And that'll be. Hey, you said you wanted to hear my story, so all right. I enjoy them. We talked last week about, and I kind of got into the story, but without really getting into details. And I think a lot of it was just because I couldn't barely talk. If you heard the replay, you sounded kind of sexy last week. Oh, thank you, buddy. So Super Grands 2002, and yes, Chris and Travis pointed out that I said the second place team. There was actually no fight, so me being a home teamer was like, CJB's going to win. They're going to beat IDC. So we actually did have a good fight that year at Kansas. They did a set fight, like a 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. Okay. And it was pretty close. So they were really trying to beat us, right? And they were pissed. IDC. Yes, IDC was pissed that we decided not to do it. And then they kind of went back later on and said that, hey, they were bowing out too because they didn't want to win that way, and they whatever. So, all right, here's the deal. Jason was hurt. Jason had a knee injury. Brian Plimpo had a knee injury. So, like, all of these top fighters are out during that Super Grands. So our team was Trevor, Damon, and Renee. All freaking heavyweights, right?
What a bad team that is.
Yeah, I know. So then it was the other one was IDC was Chris Millers, Ronell, and Sluter, Kevin Sluter, I'm pretty sure, and which is a great team. There may have been one more. They may have somebody else besides Sluter as an alternate or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it was Sluter, and Sluter was doing pretty good that year, and they were really trying to beat us. And so Trevor was pissed. He wanted to fight. He didn't care. But we had already bowed out the year before of the whole finals of AKA Grands because of an issue similar to this with rules and with promoters who had
CJB
teams.
kind of bowed out a lot, didn't they?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things. We tried to make a statement. So
you didn't make too many good ones.
Yeah, I know. So we were in the finals of that AKA Grand 16 times. So we took the whole team out. So imagine how that finals looked, right? Sharky still was kind of upset for a few years about that situation. Well, just because I guess it ruined his finals. So whatever. Anyways, we can get into that story another time. But so people forget IDC. This happens. We bow out. We say we're not doing it unless it's changed. They agree. No, this is the way it's going to be. That's it. We walk off stage. IDC's mad. And then this starts a whole thing of yelling back and forth, right? And who do you think is really the loudest of CJB?
Damon.
All right, so we have Damon. Do you know who also is on IDC? Larry Tankson. So Larry Tankson.
Larry Jr.
No, Larry Tankson. Larry Sr.
Oh, yeah.
He's on IDC. And his son is on CJB. He's not fighting right then, but he's pissed. He's like, you know what? I'm tired of this crap. You guys did this crap in AKAs, bowing out. Y'all just afraid to lose and all this and that. And this is in the back of the state, like on the side, right? And I'm sitting like, oh, man, we're about to go to blows. And we were just having Thanksgiving dinner with Larry, like right before this. It was just crazy. And then we go and do the fight that didn't actually happen. And he's yelling at us and everything. And Damon's like, whatever, we won diamonds and we're undefeated and all this and that. And that's what made Larry even pissed. Like, oh, so you're trying to say this is better than that. And you guys still came here to compete against us. So if you thought, NASCA or diamonds was better, why'd you even come? And so it kept going back and forth.
Nice turn.
Yeah, I mean, it kept getting more and more. And it was intense, man. And then it got weirder because we just thought they took the title, and then next thing you know, Bob and them decided to bow out as well. Or the stories kept getting mixed in here and there about that. And then next you know, the third place ended up going. And see,
that's so interesting. See, I would never get in an argument like that with Larry. You could never change.
No.
The only thing you could do is just waste your breath.
Right. The third they always fought off for third and fourth place as well. So I think that's why they went to they had the third place team, because they usually fought off for it ahead of time or whatever.
Third place team won.
Yeah, now it's different. I'm trying to remember how they do it. They do the men's teams during the day, and then that night they fight for, like, they have a separate team finals. But I don't think they had it like then. It was they had a separate team finals like during the day, and then the final fight was on another night or whatever. It was a little bit different back then. But so there was a little bit of a waiting period. Well, what are they going to do? What are we going to do? And yeah, I mean, but Trevor was mad because he wanted to fight. And at that time, I think at that Super Grands, there wasn't really, his division wasn't very strong. So he didn't really have the competition that he wanted in his point division, but he also could have done continuous, but I don't think it would have been, the year before he had some good comp, and the year before that, real good comp. But
that's a great way to end it.
So that was a fun one, seeing the Tanksons on both sides and Larry
Jason
just stepping up.
Nothing.
No, he was like,
I don't even.
And Leroyce was on our team
too. Not to know that.
And the thing is too, Leroyce was on our team too. So it was just so funny. And Leroyce and I are sitting there. He's like, "What do I do? My dad's yelling at us. What do I do?" It was so funny. But yeah, man. So great episode. We touched a lot of different topics, a lot of different things. Yep. And
shout out to Meadow Maze.
Yep, Meadow Maze, Josh Smith.
The champ, Avery Plowden.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Your wife?
We dropped, of course. He Lens. We talked a lot about the pro athletes.
Big shout to Ernest. You know what was cool about Ernest Miller, though? Not only has he done a bunch of stuff, he could still fight. Like today.
Ernest tells me all the time. He says, "Man, you're my favorite fighter," and I'm like, "Man, that's like the coolest thing I can hear." And I'm like, "Ernest, I didn't even win today," and he goes, "Oh no, you don't win all the time." You my favorite. And I'm like, I think I like that backhanded compliment. He tells me all that's a backhanded compliment, but I enjoy that one.
That's right. Yeah, I like being that. He always asks me to send him kicking drills. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So it was cool. But all right, man.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss.
We will see you guys next week.
All right.